Welcome to the Infection Control course. This is part 4 of the 5-part Orientation and Safety course. The purpose of this course is to show you how to prevent the spread of infection. This will keep both you and the consumer safe. Make sure you have paper and something to write with ready, as you will be asked questions throughout each section of the course. In this module, you will learn about infections and how they spread. You'll learn to use standard precautions to keep consumers and yourself from being infected. You'll also learn about washing your hands and how to put on and remove gloves. By the end of this module, you will be able to define infection and describe how infections spread. Demonstrate how to wash your hands according to best practice. Demonstrate how to put on and take off gloves according to best practice. Define standard precautions and describe when to follow them. Demonstrate how to clean and disinfect to stop the spread of infection. Describe what to do after exposure to blood or body fluids. There are 5 lessons in this module. Lesson 1 introduces you to the module. Lesson 2 is about infections, how they spread, and how standard precautions stop the spread of infection. Lesson 3 shows you how to wash your hands and to use personal protective equipment, also known as PPE. Lesson 4 is about cleaning and disinfecting the consumer's home and disposing of waste. Lesson 5 explains how to protect yourself from exposure to blood and body fluids and what to do if you are exposed. In this lesson, you will learn about infections, how they spread, and their symptoms. You will learn what standard precautions are and when to use them. You'll also learn how to talk to consumers about standard precautions. Before you learn about how to prevent the spread of infection, you need to understand what an infection is. An infection is the growth of harmful germs in the body. Let's learn more about infections. An infection is the growth of harmful germs in the body. A germ is a tiny microscopic living organism such as bacteria, virus, or fungus. Bacteria are microscopic organisms, germs, which can cause diseases. A virus is the smallest known living disease-producing organism. A fungus is a microorganism such as yeast or mold. Now that you know what an infection is, you need to know how infections spread. First, germs need a place to grow and multiply. Next, they have to have a way to spread between people or from a place to a person. Then, a germ has to come into contact with a person. This could be through an open wound or from coughing, for example. Once the germs come into contact with a person, they need a way to grow and multiply inside that person. In order for infections to spread, all of these things must happen. If one of the links in the chain breaks, the infection will not spread. In order for an infection to spread, germs have to get out of where they're growing and into another person. Germs easily exit the places they were growing and multiplying in. Once the germs get out, there are 4 ways that germs are spread. Direct contact is when infection spreads directly from one person to another. This happens through direct body contact with another person's body fluids or secretions. An example of direct contact would be if an infected person's blood got into your open wound. Indirect contact is when you come into contact with something an infected person has used or touched. Examples would be sharing utensils with an infected person or touching a doorknob after an infected person touched it. Droplet contact is when you come into contact with a droplet of moisture from an infected person's secretions. Droplet spread would happen if someone sneezed or coughed in your face. The last method is airborne contact. Airborne contact is when you come into contact with a germ traveling on dust particles. As you can see, spreading germs is easy. Many of the consumers you work with may have weakened immune systems. This makes it easier for them to get sick. Because of their weakened immune systems or other conditions, it's important to observe a consumer for signs and symptoms of infection. Common signs and symptoms are fever, chills or sweating, nausea, dizziness, headaches, thirst, feeling weak or tired, pain, redness or swelling, body parts that are hot to the touch, hot, dry skin and rash, or confusion. If you notice any of these signs, report them to the case manager or supervisor. To you, an infection may be annoying, but it could make a consumer seriously ill. That's why it's so important to use infection control practices to stop germs from spreading. Not everyone who has an infection shows symptoms. You may not know if you or the consumer has an infection. This is why HCAs need to practice infection control. There are 6 things you can do as an HCA to stop the spread of infection. They are washing your hands, wearing gloves, cleaning and disinfecting the consumer's environment, making sure you get the recommended immunizations, and properly disposing of waste and sharps. You'll learn more about these later. In addition to infections, it's possible you could be exposed to blood-borne pathogens. Blood-borne pathogens are disease-causing germs that spread through contact with blood. For this reason, you must always use standard precautions if you think you will come into contact with the consumer's blood or body fluids. Standard precautions are practices used to prevent the spread of germ-causing disease through blood, body fluids, non-intact skin, or mucous membranes. They are used in addition to infection control practices. When a consumer sees you wearing gloves and washing your hands multiple times, it's possible that they could feel dirty, diseased, or isolated. This can prevent them from connecting with you and getting the emotional support they need. Because you must use infection control practices and standard precautions, it's important to talk to the consumer about why you're using them. Let them know that these will help keep them healthy. You might have an infection that you don't know about. Using infection control and standard precautions helps protect a consumer from any diseases you could have too. Let's do a quick review of what you've learned so far. Decide which word completes each sentence. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide if it is true or false. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide which is the best answer from the choices. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. In this lesson, you learned that infections are harmful germs that grow in the body. To spread an infection, germs need a place to grow and multiply, a way to spread, to make contact with a person, and grow and spread in the new person. Germs spread by direct and indirect contact, airborne and droplet spread. Signs and symptoms of infection, such as dizziness, headaches, tiredness, or confusion, should be reported to the case manager or supervisor. There are 6 parts to infection control: washing your hands, wearing gloves, cleaning and disinfecting, keeping up to date on immunizations, and properly disposing of waste and sharps. HCAs must also use standard precautions, which are practices used to prevent the spread of germ-causing disease through blood, body fluids, non-intact skin, or mucous membranes. This lesson will teach you more about infection control. You'll learn how to wash your hands and when and why. You'll learn how to put on and take off gloves and more about other types of personal protective equipment, or PPE. You'll also learn how to dispose of PPE. Every time you touch someone or something, you get germs on your hands. Your hands could spread infection to a consumer or your family. Washing your hands is the most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of infection. Washing your hands helps keep the consumer and you safe from infection. To get the most protection, you should wash your hands before and after certain activities. Wash your hands before you touch a consumer, start work, eat, prepare food, or put on gloves. Wash your hands after you touch a consumer, use the restroom, take off gloves or PPE, have contact with body fluids, blow your nose, sneeze or cough, clean, smoke, or touch pets. Most people do not wash their hands as often as they should. Take a moment and think of times you don't wash your hands. Why don't you? Many times, people don't wash their hands because they don't look dirty. You learned before that germs are tiny, so small that you can't see them without a microscope. Your hands are full of germs, so you should not wait until your hands look dirty. Others might not want to spend the extra time it takes to wash their hands well. Think about it this way. Do you have time to be sick? What if the consumer gets sick? Make washing your hands a habit. Some people might worry about having dry, chapped hands from washing them so many times. If you use moisturizing soap and lotion, this won't be a problem. Don't let anything stop you from washing your hands. It's the best way to control the spread of infection. Even if a person washes their hands as often as they should, many don't wash their hands as well as they should. This means their hands are still full of germs. Watch the video to see what happens if you don't wash your hands thoroughly.
This home care aide has glow germ gel on her hands. This gel represents germs on your hands. Normally, when people wash their hands, they do it very quickly and they don't scrub. What you see here under a black light represents all the germs that are left if you don't follow the correct hand washing procedures that we're about to describe.
You've learned why it's important to wash your hands and when you should wash your hands. This video will show you how to wash your hands according to best practice.
There's a right way to wash your hands effectively to remove the germs. Let's watch as the HCA demonstrates the correct steps for hand washing.
First, make sure you can easily reach all the supplies you'll need while washing your hands. Those supplies are soap or liquid skin cleanser, the sink, paper towels, and a trash can. Remove rings or watches. Turn on the water. Wet your hands and wrists. Apply liquid skin cleanser soap to your hands and rub them together to create friction. Friction is what removes germs. Lather all surfaces of your hands and wrists, including your palms, the backs of your hands, your thumbs, between your fingers, your wrists and 2 inches above them and under your fingernails. Scrub for 20 seconds. Clean under your fingernails by scratching in the semi-closed palm of the opposite hand with soap. Rinse your hands and wrists thoroughly. Point your fingers down so that water does not run up your wrists. Don't let your hands touch during rinsing and don't shake the water off after rinsing. Use a clean, dry paper towel to dry your hands. Dry all parts of your hands thoroughly and leave the water running until you finish drying your hands. Put the paper towel in the trash and tear off a clean new one. Use the dry paper towel to turn off the faucet. Put it in the trash.
If your hands aren't visibly soiled and soap and water aren't readily available, using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer is another way to clean your hands. Although hand sanitizer does reduce the number of germs on your hands, it doesn't kill all germs. It's important to wash your hands with soap and water as soon as you can after using sanitizer. While you should always use infection control practices like washing your hands, you also may need to wear gloves. Gloves are used to prevent exposure to disease-causing germs and blood-borne pathogens. Wearing gloves is part of standard precautions. They keep you safe from germs and blood-borne pathogens. Make sure you can find gloves easily when you need them. When do you need to wear gloves? You must wear gloves when you have direct skin contact with blood, body fluids, or another person's mucous membranes. You must wear gloves when you handle things contaminated with germs, such as tissues, disposable underwear, or soiled clothing or linens. Wear gloves if you have contact with a consumer that has an open wound. Gloves are required when you clean up body fluids or assist a consumer with toileting or other personal care tasks. Lastly, wear gloves if you have a cut, scrape, chapped hands, or dermatitis. Never reuse gloves. Put on a new pair each time you begin care. Change gloves during a task if they become contaminated. It's important to put on gloves properly. The first step is to wash your hands. Follow best practice when washing your hands. Check for holes or tears by filling the glove with air. Do not blow into it. Squeeze the glove and see if air escapes from it. If there are holes, throw away the glove and get a new one. Pull the glove gently over one hand. Pull the glove gently over the other hand. Clasp your fingers together to make sure the gloves are neither too loose nor too tight. Check for holes or tears. It's just as important to take off gloves properly to avoid contamination. Pinch the wrist or middle of one gloved hand with your opposite gloved thumb and forefinger. Pull the glove down over your fingers so that it comes off inside out. Crumple the glove you are holding into a small ball in the still gloved hand. Put 1 to 2 fingers of the ungloved hand under the cuff of the remaining glove and the crumpled glove as shown below. Do not touch the outside of the glove. Pull the glove down over your fingers so that it comes off inside out. Twist the top of the glove as you remove it. Put the used gloves in the appropriate trash container and wash your hands. You should have access to gloves when assisting the consumer. Each Medicaid consumer is eligible to receive a supply of 200 gloves per month. Additional gloves can be requested if medically necessary. Refer to your agency employer, the case manager, the supervisor, or MRC for more information on how to get additional gloves. In addition to gloves, there are a few other types of personal protective equipment, or PPE. PPE is worn to prevent the spread of infection. It's important to remember that only gloves are regularly used in home care. Additional PPE are rarely required and will be provided only in special cases. When taking off PPE, always remove your gloves first. Make sure you don't touch your bare skin to the outside of the glove, or you could contaminate yourself. After using gloves, you must dispose of them properly to avoid the spread of infection. Anything that has come into contact with blood or body fluids is considered contaminated waste. Contaminated waste must be kept separate from regular garbage. Contaminated waste must be double bagged. You'll learn more about disposing of waste in the next lesson. Let's review what you learned in this lesson. Read the statement, then decide if it is true or false. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide which is the best answer from the choices. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide if it is true or false. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Put the statements about putting on gloves into the correct order. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. In this lesson, you learned that washing your hands is the most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of infection. You should wash your hands even if they don't look dirty. You should wash your hands before starting care and after providing care. You should also wash your hands before putting on gloves and after taking them off. Gloves are part of standard precautions which prevent the spread of disease-causing germs and blood-borne pathogens. Gloves must be worn if you will have contact with blood or body fluids, when providing personal care, or if you will be handling contaminated items. Other types of PPE, such as an apron, goggles, or a mask, are provided only in rare cases. Contaminated waste must be double-bagged for disposal. This lesson will teach you about cleaning and disinfecting. You'll learn how to safely use household chemicals. You'll also learn the different types of waste and how to dispose of them. You've learned that standard precautions are practices used to keep the consumer and yourself safe from disease-causing germs and blood-borne diseases. In addition to wearing gloves and washing your hands, cleaning and disinfecting the environment, getting immunizations, properly disposing of contaminated waste, and disposing of sharps correctly are also part of standard precautions. You'll learn about these in this lesson, starting with cleaning and disinfecting. Because you can be exposed to bloodborne diseases whenever body fluids touch cuts or sores on your skin, you must use standard precautions with every consumer every time you come into contact with blood or body fluids. Always treat all blood and body fluids as potentially infectious. One way to stop the spread of infection is to clean and disinfect the consumer's home. Germs like moist, warm, and dark areas. If they have a source of food, germs can quickly grow and spread. Cleaning and disinfecting make it more difficult for germs to grow and spread. Cleaning and disinfecting are not the same thing. Cleaning with soap and water removes dirt and some, but not all, germs. Disinfecting is when a bleach solution or another disinfectant is used to kill additional germs. Because disinfecting removes additional germs on a surface, items that are touched often should be cleaned and disinfected. Examples are the kitchen table, pens, doorknobs, remote controls, sinks, faucet handles, and phones. Clean first to wash away dirt and some germs. Then disinfect to remove additional germs. A common disinfectant is bleach. Mix 1 teaspoon of bleach with a gallon of water to make a bleach solution. When making the bleach solution, be sure to use cool water and to use the solution within 24 hours. Using warm water or old solution will make it less effective at killing germs. It's important to remember never to mix bleach with anything other than water. If bleach is mixed with other household cleaners, such as ammonia, dangerous fumes can form. These fumes can make you or the consumer seriously ill. If bleach isn't available, or the consumer has a respiratory condition that makes them sensitive to chemical fumes, you can use a vinegar solution to disinfect. Mix 1 part vinegar with 3 parts of water to make a vinegar solution. This means, for example, that if you use 3 cups of water, you would use 1 cup of vinegar to make the solution. Watch the video to see how to make a vinegar solution.
To make the vinegar solution, mix 1 part vinegar and 3 parts water. This vinegar solution is used in cleaning items like bedpans or urinals.
Here are some points to remember when cleaning and disinfecting. Clean as you work, especially in kitchens and bathrooms. If you spill something, clean it up immediately. Remember, spills are food for germs to grow. Wear rubber gloves when you're cleaning to protect your skin. Dirty dishes should be washed in soap and hot water. Rinse them with hot water and allow them to air dry. Put them away as soon as they're dry. Any body fluids or dirty water used to clean should be flushed down the toilet. If you need to clean and disinfect something that has been exposed to blood or body fluid, there are some things you should do. Always wear gloves when you could be exposed to blood or body fluid. Be careful not to tear your gloves on anything while cleaning. Use paper towels to clean up the blood or body fluid. These paper towels should not go in the regular garbage can. They must be double bagged with other contaminated waste. You'll hear more about that in a few minutes. Clean and disinfect anything you use to clean up the blood or body fluid. Take off your gloves and put them with any other contaminated waste. Wash your hands after you're finished. When cleaning, you may use certain household chemicals, such as bleach, ammonia, oven cleaner, or all-purpose cleaners. These chemicals can be toxic or dangerous if not used correctly. Always read the label to see how toxic it is and to look for treatment information if the chemical is inhaled, swallowed, or gets on skin. If the label says caution, that means the cleaning product could hurt you by irritating your skin, hurt your eyes, or make you sick if you inhale fumes. If the label says warning, then this means the product is more dangerous than one that says caution. You could be sick or seriously hurt. It could also mean the product easily catches on fire. If the label says danger, this means you should be extremely careful when using it. These products could make you seriously ill if you don't use them correctly. There are ways you can stay safe when using household chemicals. First, never mix any of them. This can cause fumes that can be dangerous or fatal. Make sure the area where you are cleaning is well ventilated to reduce your exposure to fumes. If you start getting dizzy, have a headache, or get sick to your stomach, stop using the chemical and get fresh air. Wear rubber gloves when using household cleaners to protect your skin. When using drain or oven cleaner, wear safety goggles to protect your eyes. Store household chemicals in a cool, dry place. They should not be near flames. Make sure they're stored in a way that prevents them from falling over and spilling. Wash your hands when you're done using them. If any chemicals are on your hands, you could accidentally spread them by touch or in food. What should you do if you get chemicals on your skin or in your eyes? If you or the consumer gets seriously ill, call 911. If you aren't sure what to do or how dangerous the chemical is, call a medical provider or the Poison Help hotline at 1-800-222-1222. If you get chemicals on your skin, wash or brush them off, then rinse thoroughly. If you get chemicals in your eye, you need to rinse it immediately and for at least 15 minutes. The longer the chemical is in your eye, the more damage it does, so it's important to rinse the eye as soon as possible. Try to keep the eye as open as possible when rinsing it. It could be easier to do in a shower. Another part of standard precautions is the proper disposal of waste. There are 3 types of waste: regular garbage, contaminated waste, and sharps. Regular garbage is the normal trash. Never put your hand or foot into the garbage to compact it. This could expose you to germs. Contaminated waste has items that were exposed to blood or body fluids. Examples of contaminated waste are used tissues and paper towels or gloves with blood or body fluid on them. Contaminated waste must be kept separate from regular trash. The last type of waste is sharps. Sharps are syringes, razors, finger sticks, or anything else that could cut you. Sharps must never be put into the regular trash, as they could puncture you and expose you to bloodborne diseases. Contaminated waste should be double-bagged. To double-bag trash, put all contaminated items in a double-bagged trash container. Tie the inner bag closed. Make sure you're wearing gloves while you do this. Take off your gloves and put them on top of the tied bag. Tie the outer trash bag and wash your hands. Throw the trash away. Wash your hands again. If you follow this procedure, you will reduce your risk of exposure to bloodborne pathogens. There are special rules for disposing of sharps. If you are an agency provider, check to see if you are allowed to handle sharps. Used sharps must be stored in a puncture-resistant container. Pharmacies sell special containers for used sharps. Some counties allow used sharps to be stored in a 2-liter soda bottle. After a sharp is used, ask the consumer to put it into the sharps container. Never try to recap a needle. You could puncture yourself and be exposed to a bloodborne disease. When the container is 3/4 full, secure the lid with tape. Label it with a warning: Sharps, do not recycle, if the consumer is using a soda bottle. How you dispose of used sharps depends on location. Check with the local health department or the supervisor or case manager if you are unsure of how to dispose of sharps in your county. Let's review the topics covered in this lesson. Read the statement, then decide if it is true or false. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide if it is true or false. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide if it is true or false. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. In this lesson, you learned that cleaning and disinfecting are different. Cleaning removes dirt and some germs. Disinfecting kills even more germs. A bleach or vinegar solution can be used to disinfect items that have come into contact with blood or body fluids. Household cleaners should be used carefully and in a well-ventilated area. There are 3 types of waste: regular garbage, contaminated waste, and sharps. Contaminated waste must be kept separate from other garbage and must be double-bagged. Used sharps should be stored in a sharps container or puncture-resistant container. Check with the local health department to learn how to dispose of sharps. In this lesson, you will learn how to protect yourself from exposure to bloodborne diseases. If you are exposed, you'll learn what to do and how and to whom to report the exposure. It's not uncommon for an HCA to come into contact with blood or body fluids. Fortunately, the risk of getting a bloodborne disease is small if standard precautions are used. Let's begin by reviewing what standard precautions are. Wash your hands. This is the most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of infection. Wash your hands before contact with the consumer, eating, preparing food, or putting on gloves. Wash your hands after you have contact with blood or body fluids, contaminated items, pets, or a consumer. After using the restroom, removing gloves, cleaning, smoking, or coughing or sneezing. Always wear gloves if there is a possibility of contact with blood or body fluid. You need to wear gloves when you provide personal care, handle contaminated items, or have a wound on your hands. Gloves can never be reused. Put on new ones each time you begin care. Dispose of them as contaminated waste. Cleaning and disinfecting can help prevent the spread of infection by killing germs and getting rid of places they like to grow. Cleaning kills some germs and removes dirt. Disinfecting kills more germs. Disinfect by using a bleach or vinegar solution. Items that are often touched should be disinfected. When disposing of waste, keep contaminated waste such as soiled gloves or used tissues separate from regular garbage. Contaminated waste must be double-bagged. Used sharps should never go into the trash. They should be stored in a special sharps container, available from pharmacies, or in a 2-liter soda bottle, if the community allows this. Dispose of sharps according to local regulations. Check with the local health department or your supervisor or case manager if you don't know how to dispose of sharps. Another way to protect yourself and consumers from infection is to keep up to date on your immunizations. Check with your home care agency to see if any are available through work. Some common immunizations are for tetanus and diphtheria, flu, pneumonia, hepatitis A, and hepatitis B. You can also encourage consumers to follow their medical provider's recommendations on immunizations. You've learned about ways to protect yourself and consumers from bloodborne diseases. What are some common bloodborne diseases? Hepatitis is a viral infection of the liver. There are several different types of hepatitis, but the two most common bloodborne forms are hepatitis B, HBV, and hepatitis C, HCV. Both forms can be spread through contact with dried blood. HBV is common and highly contagious. Some people may not even know they have it. There is a vaccine available for HBV. HCV is less common and can cause permanent damage to a person's liver. There is no vaccine for HCV. Human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, is a virus that damages a person's immune system and can lead to AIDS. It is spread when blood or body fluids enter a person's body through the mucous membranes. When a person's immune system is damaged enough, the person is diagnosed with acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS. Not everyone with HIV will develop AIDS. With treatment, the onset of AIDS can be delayed by several years. There is no vaccine for HIV or AIDS. As you learned in an earlier module, you should never come to work when you are sick. Even if the illness is minor, it could make a consumer with a weakened immune system or other underlying health conditions seriously ill. If you are sick, make sure you contact the supervisor or case manager as soon as you can so they can find a replacement. Not showing up for work without notice could be considered abandonment, which is a form of abuse. If you are exposed to blood or body fluids, there are steps you should take immediately. If you get blood or body fluids on your skin, immediately wash the area with non-abrasive soap. If you get blood or body fluids in your eyes, immediately flush your eyes with running water. Continue to flush them for another 5 minutes. If you are accidentally punctured by a needle or another sharp, wash the area thoroughly with soap and water. If hydrogen peroxide is available, pour a small amount on the wound. Needle sticks are the most common way for HCAs to become infected with a bloodborne disease. Fortunately, the risk is small, less than 1%. If you have an open area on your body, such as a cut, bite, scratch, or lesion, and it is exposed to blood or body fluid, immediately wash the area thoroughly with soap and water. Just like with needle sticks, if you can find hydrogen peroxide, put a small amount on the wound. Again, the risk of getting a bloodborne disease is less than 1%, but it's still a good idea to take immediate action to protect yourself. Not all exposures require medical attention. You should get medical attention if you are punctured with a needle or another sharp, or if you have been exposed to blood or body fluids through open skin. Your medical provider will tell you what you should do next. How and to whom you report exposure depends on your employer. If you work for an agency, check with them to learn their guidelines for reporting exposure. If you are an independent provider, call 1-800-272-2437 and your case manager to report the exposure and talk to your medical provider to see what to do. Let's review this lesson. Read the statement, then decide which is the best answer from the choices. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide if it is true or false. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Decide which body part goes with each statement about what to do after exposure. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. In this lesson, you learned that standard precautions such as hand washing, wearing gloves, cleaning and disinfecting, disposing of waste, and correctly handling sharps are ways you can protect yourself and the consumer from bloodborne illness. You learned about hepatitis, HIV, and AIDS. You also learned about common immunizations that you should have. If you are exposed to blood or body fluids, you learned to wash or flush the area and how to apply hydrogen peroxide to open wounds or needle sticks. Lastly, you learned how to report exposure incidents. Read the statement, then decide which answers apply. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide which answers apply. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. Read the statement, then decide which is the best answer from the choices. If you need more time to complete the activity, make sure to press the pause button before time runs out. In this course, you learned how to define infection and describe how infections spread. You learned to follow best practice when washing your hands and putting on and taking off gloves. You learned the different types of standard precautions and how to follow them. You learned about cleaning and disinfecting and how they stop the spread of infection. You also learned what to do if you are exposed to blood or body fluid. Congratulations! You are now finished with Part 4 of the Orientation and Safety course. The next module, Accident Prevention, will show you how to prevent accidents in the consumer's home and how to keep both the consumer and yourself safe from injury.